Welcome to Line by Line Germany, as we look at the busy freight and passenger route from Northeim, near Göttingen, north to the southern outskirts of Hanover. Our featured line is located in the north-central part of the country on the old classic main line linking Kassel with Hanover. As mentioned, our chosen stretch covers the 80-kilometre section from Northeim to Hanover, which is shown by the black line here on our map. The programme splits the line into a series of sections, the first of which covers the stretch between Northeim and Kreiensen, with the maps here showing the two locations. However, in order to show the newer parallel high-speed line, we actually start just south of Northeim on the route down to Göttingen, where the new high-speed tracks parallel the old classic main line. The original route is more commonly known as the Hannovarian Southern Railway, which was first opened in sections to Göttingen between 1853 and 1854, and later via Hannovarian Münden to Kassel in 1856. The new high-speed line here on the left of your screen was built alongside and was fully opened in 1991. Heading south towards the camera, we see 1116175 with train 47163. From Bremen to Győr-Rendezo in Hungary, made up of empty ARS Altmann car carriers. This is the view of the high-speed line with a typical ICE service heading south. (185-544) heads loaded car carriers north on the old line with a München to Bremerhaven service. A southbound freight this time, headed by new Class 187 electric number 121. The train is number 51201 from Hannover's Elze yard to Nuremberg. Moving towards Hanover now, and we are south of Kreiensen, not far from the village of Solsterhelden, as 182512 heads towards the camera with one of the irregular train loads of containers that are seen along this route. In the opposite direction, we see one of the hourly Metronom services that operate along this line. Power at the rear is provided by Class 146 electric number 514. This is the 1536 departure from Hannover to Göttingen, headed by 146518, a locomotive which entered traffic on the 20th of October 2005. (187-301) is currently on hire to Metrans and is seen rounding the curve on train 88896. From Nuremberg to Hamburg-Woltershof. The electric loco is also fitted with a 24 kilowatt last mile diesel engine. Class 187s were also brought by DB, as they were a natural successor to the already proven AC2 design of the Class 1852 series. Here number 101 heads north with a late running Nuremberg to Elze mixed freight. Moving north once again, and we finish our first section off at the station at Kreiensen. The line here was opened in 1854 and is the junction of the Goslar to Altenbeeken non-electrified line. The line from Altenbeeken reaching Kreiensen in 1865. 146503 is in charge of this Metronom service bound for Göttingen. The line here was electrified in 1963, when it was the second most important north-south route in the then West Germany. The route was also handling intercity expresses, as well as the vast quantities of freight traffic transiting to or from the northern ports. 152134 heads south, powering train 60045 from the Elze yard in Hannover to Ingolstadt, comprising empty car ticks. As mentioned, Metronom operate an hourly service on the line to and from Göttingen, with trains generally alternating every 2 hours to Elze or to Hannover. 146541 is the rear power, for this the 1409 departure from Göttingen. The non-electrified line from here to Goslar was opened in 1866, and the station was modernised with new buildings some 20 years later in 1886, and these are still in evidence today. The new platform canopies, which we can also see, were built in 2011. DB-operated Class 145s are another type seen on freight traffic on this line. 2 freight services each way per hour are commonplace here, with 3 times that amount in the early morning and evening periods. In the next part of this programme, we take a look at the section of line between Kreiensen and Alfeld, a distance of around 18 kilometres. The line here follows the valley of the River Leine. Our chosen locations are seen here on our maps. The first stopover comes from just north of Kreiensen, not far from the village of Bühlhausen. Our first view is of the single-track non-electrified line that runs west out of Kreiensen and on towards Altenbüchen. A Class 648 diesel unit crosses this bridge as it climbs out of the valley and on towards Ottbergen. Meanwhile, on our featured main line, this departmental rail car heads south. XDB Class 151 number 078 is now operated by Eisenbahngesellschaft Potsdam. Here it heads south with empty car carriers from Bremerhaven to Passau. Ten minutes later, at 13:30 hours on the 23rd of June 2018, we see 182522 with train 40566 from Verona in Italy to Padborg in Denmark. Moving north a few kilometres, and we come to these 2 locations not far from the town of Frieden, as the line crosses from one side of the valley to the other. 146518 powers north, forming the 1107 from Göttingen to Elze Metronom service. 182527 was on hire to DB when this scene was taken. The loco is viewed here powering train 50342 from Regensburg to Bremerhaven. The busiest days on the line are generally from Monday afternoon through to early Saturday afternoon. Wagon freight trains appear roughly every 90 minutes or so, such as train 51685 from Nuremberg to Hannover Elze. Loco number 187121 is in charge. (146.501) was delivered to Metronom by manufacturer Bombardier in early 2003, and it entered service on the 1st of July that year. Here it heads south with the 1136 Hannover to Göttingen service. (203.301) and 203.302 were next to appear on this weed-killing train. Moving slightly north of our previous location, we see 185.307 heading south with empty car ticks. Automotive trains along this line make up around 20% of the traffic scene. 152016 was the next to appear on train 50353 from Regensburg to Bremerhaven. Bremerhaven is one of the major North Sea ports served by the shipping line Maersk. So when you see its containers on trains, there's a good bet that that's where they're going to or have come from. Hamburg Süd containers are unsurprisingly common on trains to and from Hamburg, although they are also seen heading for Bremerhaven. We're off north once again now and to the town of Alfeld, around 6 kilometres from our previous location. This is the view from the old goods depot situated on the north side of the tracks, and 193836 heads north with train 69288 from Kornwestheim near Stuttgart to Hamburg. (187.122) is next to be seen with mixed freight train number 51199, the 0834 from Elze to Nürnberg. The city of Alfeld dates back to at least the year 1214, where it grew next to the banks of the Leine River, with trade in beer, hops, linen and yarn. Although some industry has closed down, as we can see here, the biggest employer in the town now is a large paper mill situated on the northern outskirts of the city. 193811 was delivered to Railpool on the 18th of July 2014, and was hard out to Retrack, based in Hamburg, in early September 2017. Here it heads south with a largely colourful blue set of tanks. A Metronom passenger train has called at the station on its way north to Elze. 145048 entered traffic with DB over 18 years before this film was taken. The loco started service on the 5th of May 2000. Here it powers south with train 51173 from Elze to Kornwestheim. In the next section in the programme, we cover the line from Alfeld to Elze. The map here shows the two towns and the black line indicating the section of route covered. Our filming locations are at Goldenau, Kreiensen, Banteln, as well as two positions in and around Elze. As previously mentioned, this was the first section of the Hanover to Kassel main line to be built by the Hannovarian Southern Railway in 1853. Today the line has been modernised and in many places, especially through the various towns that border the tracks, sound and sight barriers have been built. However, it's still possible to find good photo and filming locations, such as this one on this crossing on the southern outskirts of Goldenau. Heading north is DB Cargo's 185312. (193.856) is owned by MRCE, but subhired to rail cargo carrier Private Car Train. Here it hauls train 52694, a loaded working from Bremen to München. Moving north once again, and we are at Kreiensen, where morning photography is best on the east side of the tracks away from the sound barriers. The date is again the 23rd of June 2018, and 146503 heads south with the 7:36 service from Hannover. (193-210) is subhired to SBB cargo. It is seen here heading north with a container service bound for Hamburg. 2 container trains each way per hour along this route is typical. (10-16-048) is a welcome Austrian visitor, seen here with a delayed 52604, conveying covered ARS Kartix from Dingolfing to Bremerhaven. Swiss Cargo's 482033 is on long-term hire to HS Logistics. Here it heads south with a Hamburg to Gallerati intermodal service. During our morning visit, freight trains were seen every 10 minutes in each direction. Heading south, we see 152, 109. This is a particularly busy time of day, with many overnight trains nearing their destinations, or daytime trains on the move at the start of their journey. Five kilometres to the north is the small town of Bantel. Here we visit the station on the evening of the 13th of July 2017. Arriving with a Metronom local service bound for Göttingen is Class 146 electric number 505. This locomotive is a Trax P160 AC1 design, of which 10 are operated by the company. Another 19 similar Trax P160 AC2s are also used and are employed on similar services. The occasional engineering or departmental working can produce interesting motive power, none more so than this trainload of concrete sleepers headed by 232-550. A local hi-fi system adds to the occasion. 193813 spent the summer of 2017 hired out to various operators before it was involved in a minor accident at Schalding on the 15th of September that same year. Here it heads a trainload of ARS Altmann covered car ticks from München to Bremen. (1116-118) was the next to appear on empty car ticks, the train being DGS 59789 from Bremen to München. Heading towards Hanover, our next port of call is the junction town of Elze, with two locations, one at the station and the other just south of the junction on a convenient road crossing. Approaching the station is 185395 on empty hoppers from Hamburg to Biberach. The train identifier is 60305, which runs on a Monday to Friday basis. (146.532) is on the rear of this delayed 1707 from Göttingen to Ulzen train. The service was running just over 45 minutes late. (152.024) followed just a few minutes later with train 60130 from Kornwestheim in Stuttgart to Bremerhaven, conveying finished cars for export. private passenger company Nordwestbahn operate local trains on the Hildesheim to Lohne route, which branches off just south of here. Class 648 diesel units form the majority of trains, such as unit number 182 seen here with the 1834 departure from Hildesheim. The town of Elze is one of the oldest settlements in the area, having first been mentioned in the year 800, then under the control of the Saxons. The non-electrified line to Hamel and on to Lohne, operated by the diesel units, was opened by the Hannover Altenbeeken Company in 1875. The company was nationalised in 1880, and the line became part of the Prussian State Railway. The line was doubled between 1908 and 1911 and became an important freight route between the Netherlands and Berlin. After the Second World War, traffic dropped substantially as the country became divided into West and East Germany. Known as the Weser Railway, the line was largely singled in the 1990s. But future plans now in place have earmarked the line as a freight bypass, avoiding the congested routes around Hanover. The date for this major upgrade has yet to be announced. Just south of the town we get this view of 193805 heading north, with train 52775 from Regensburg to Bremerhaven, conveying ARS Altmann covered car ticks. You've probably realised by now that such trains are pretty common on this line. One 152-129 followed just 6 minutes later. The Class 152s are the freight version of the Class 101s and are still used on cargo trains throughout the country. Here number 006 heads south with container train 50325 from Hamburg to Regensburg. ES64F4998 heads north with a delayed 40564 from Verona in Italy to Padborg in Denmark. The train was running around 3 hours late when filmed on the 13th of July 2017. This was followed by 182505 on Box Express container train 69220 from Nuremberg to Hamburg. The next section in this programme looks at the line north from Elze to the junction at Nordstemmen. The map shows the route of the tracks, which is highlighted here by our black line. We have chosen 3 locations, 2 in open countryside and the last close to the platforms at Nordstemmen. We begin just north of Elze and to this sweeping curve, which for photography is best suited for southbound shots in the afternoon and early evening. 1016050 does the honours. This was followed by 182511 with an intermodal from Verona to Padborg. The local wildlife was keeping a very close eye on the proceedings. The date is the 22nd of June 2018 and 193858 heads south towards the camera with a container train from Bremerhaven. (152-158) is next, with covered DB car techs from Stuttgart to Bremerhaven. MWB's 277402 is next to head north with a container train from Kornwestheim to Waltershof in Hamburg. The evening sun illuminates the sides of 187301 as it powers south with train 88897 from Hamburg-Woltershof to Nürnberg. We now head north to our second location on the route up to Nordstemmen, with this view of the bridge that takes the tracks over the river Leine. Coming into view is 648131 on a Lerner to Hildesheim passenger working. (203-127) is seen heading south with a short engineers working bound for Kreiensen. The loco is X202524, a former DR Class 112. Austrian 1116087 heads north with another load of covered car wagons from Dingelfing to Bremerhaven. Train 69275 from Bremerhaven to Nürnberg is next to come into view. Motive power is provided by 182514, then on hire to Box Express. Nordstemmen is the junction with the line heading east towards Hildesheim, where the lines split and head east towards Goslar, Braunschweig and Lehrte. We've positioned ourselves just north of the platforms as we see 185563 heading north through the station on the Hannover route with a set of tanks. The train having been diverted off its normal route due to damage after overnight thunderstorms. The date is the 4th of June 2019. Overnight train NJ490 from Vienna to Hamburg is delayed by over 45 minutes as it glides north behind 101075. One 146-535 was on the rear of this, the 607 from Göttingen to Hanover. The train was running over 1 hour and 12 minutes late. AVB's Class 223 diesel number 033 heads north with loaded timber from, we think, Göttingen to the port of Breke for export. (185.077) is seen coming off the line from Hildesheim with a mixed freight, which we will see again later on in this programme. Another train for the Hildesheim route is headed by 152-190. The line from Hildesheim is used by a small number of freight services heading to and from Hamburg and provides a convenient way of bypassing the often congested lines to the south of Hanover. (146.535) leads this Metronom service for Göttingen. The town of Barnton is seen in the far background, where a north spur off the Hildesheim route allows trains to bypass Nordstemmen and head direct to Hanover. The spur is used mainly by local passenger trains.
A Nordwestbahn's Class 648 unit heads for Hildesheim. (193-605) heads north with a container train from Vienna to Hamburg. This train was also running over 3 hours late due to the overnight thunderstorms experienced in central Germany the night before. Our final section in this programme looks at the route north of Nordstemmen to the southern outskirts of Hannover. The black line on our map once again shows the route covered, as well as the main locations chosen on this 2, then 4-track main line. We begin at the station at Barnton, just 4 kilometres north of Nordstemmen. Heading towards the camera is 482033, which we've seen previously in this programme. The date is the 22nd of June 2018. (18548) is next, seen heading this southbound sleeper service, the turbulence from which caused a minor issue for our cameraman. Viewed from the passenger footbridge, 253015 heads north with a trainload of timber. The loco belongs to the Presnitztalbahn operating company and was hired to EVB when this film was taken. Barnton is on the Hannover S-Bahn network, with trains continuing to and from Hildesheim. All trains are formed of Class 424 or 425 electric multiple units. Units 278 and 283 are paired up for this southbound working. The track on the left is the route to and from the spur that forms the triangle north of Nordstemmen. It joins with the main two tracks just north of the station. On the 4th of June 2019, 482021 was hired out to EGP and heads south with train 43017 from Hamburg to Gallarate in Italy. Erix is a wholly owned subsidiary of the company OHE, which operates the Metronom services. It operates route RE10 from Hannover to Hildesheim and onwards to Goslar and Bad Harzburg. Moving around a kilometre north, we are on the southern side of the town of Sarstedt. We chose two locations, the northernmost one not far from the station. Heading south is 185183 on train 51194, a mixed freight from Hamburg-Maschen to Nürnberg.
Eric's services use a fleet of Class 622 diesel units. This pair head north with a train from Goslar to Hannover. HLG has on hire 185516. Here it is seen heading south with a Hannover Linden to Bibra working. A pair of 152s in the shape of 006 and 077 provide superpower for this Regensburg to Hamburg container train. Just north of the station we see 185201 on what we think is a working from Kassel to Elze. One 187-126 heads south with a delayed Elze to Nuremberg mixed freight. The loco will have come up from Nuremberg overnight, but was delayed today due to the earlier storms. Heading north once more, we are not far from the small town of Heizede, where we call into two locations next to the old classic main line. To the left can be seen the new high-speed ICE line. We look first across to the nearby high-speed line, and an unidentified ICE4 train set heads north for Hannover. (152-111) was next to show on train 50350 from Regensburg to Hamburg.
This Class 401 ICE is forming the 702 service from Karlsruhe to Hamburg. ICEs along this line are around 3 to 4 trains each way per hour. We saw this train earlier on at Nordstemmen heading south, with 185077 in charge. Here it heads north with 2 extra wagons on the front, and we're not sure where it's been. Next, we call into the station at Rieten, just 11 kilometres from Hannover's main station. A Class 622 diesel unit heads for the Goslar route. At this point, the high-speed line south towards Würzburg begins and leaves the 4-track classic main line to the south. The high-speed line was opened in sections beginning in 1973 with completion in 1991. This particular section of high-speed line is 327 kilometres in length. Rieten was originally an independent village, but is now part of the suburbs of Hannover. The village was first documented in 1301 and today has a population of just over 1,200. The village sees S-Bahn trains calling at its station. (185-212) heads south towards the camera with train 51173 from Elze to Kornwestheim near Stuttgart. This is 401084. Sister unit 401073 is seen approaching the camera whilst forming the 1224 Hamburg to Zurich service. Our last location in this programme comes from just north of Meeze-Laatzen station, opposite to Wülfel Yard. The date is again the 4th of June 2019, and 182508, which we saw earlier heading south near Sarstedt, has returned north with a set of engineering wagons, which it is about to drop off in the nearby yard. By now the main running tracks have increased to 6 lines, and traffic levels were almost constant. 152067 heads south with train 50307 from Hamburg-Wultershof to Regensburg at just after 17 minutes past 2 and running exactly to time. One 46507 is on the rear of the 1307 from Göttingen to Elze. Next stop, in just under 7 minutes, will be Hannover Hauptbahnhof. One 185-392 is next to be seen on a trainload of DB red-covered Cartix. The service is train 48926 from Karlsdorf to Bremerhaven. This is ICE set 401066, heading north, forming the 1021 from München to Hamburg. One 147 has charge of the 1110 from Karlsruhe to Hamburg into city service. Of interest was Class 410 ICE power cars and ICES test coaches, sandwiching the new Siemens Velaro Novo test coach. This is 193613, currently on hire to DB Cargo. Another ICE unit heads north, this time 403010. Rhine Cargo's 185588 and 145097 are seen paired up on train 95480 from Hamburg to Neustadt-Donau, conveying loaded fuel tanks. Finally, it is the turn of 152072 to head north on train 60300 from Heringen to Hamburg, conveying covered hoppers. We hope that with the variety of trains shown in this programme, it gives you a good insight into the different types of traffic to be seen on this busy north-south main line. And indeed, we hope some of our locations provide you with the necessary inspiration to make your own visit to this part of Germany. Thank you for watching, and look out for further programmes in our line-by-line series.